We are CGAfrica, and we are so excited to talk to you, Sidney. I mean, it's good to see your face.
I know Femi, and
this is Mayowa. I'm his brother.
Mayowa.
Yeah, we are brothers. Yeah.
Yes. And we are working together. I deliberately let Femi do the communications.
Oh, copy that.
Yeah.
Right, I'm Damola. I'm an aspiring environment artist. So yeah, when Femi told me about the opportunity, it was something I couldn't pass on. I had to be in the room while this conversation was taking place. I'm really excited, and I'm really excited to pick your brains as well. So yeah, there'll be a lot of questions coming from me. So just get ready.
Okay, shoot out. Let's do this. And I'm really happy. Sidney Kombo. I just said that again, and I'm really happy to have a chance to do that with you guys. As you know, there are not many African platforms where we can express or just display what we've been doing internationally, and I saw on social medias and even on internet how much you guys are active and how much you work over there, and it's also my pleasure to be here taking that moment with you guys and trying to get as many of your question answered as possible and see what comes out of it.
Yeah, we're excited. I mean, when we were having a chat, you mentioned that you have worked on a lot of movies, actually, blockbusters. I mean, I've got here. You are currently animation supervisor at Weta Digital.
Yeah,
and you've been a senior 3D animator also. Yeah. You've been animation supervisor for Gravity, for Avengers, for Planet of the War of Apes.
I wasn't animator supervisor on Gravity. On Gravity, I was just a senior animator, which the responsibility is different. The responsibility is different there. I was in charge of, let's say, shots, not sequences, but just shots. And obviously, if you're a senior, they give you the hardest part of the show to do, trusting that you would make it as believable as possible, because that's the goal, basically. Just to try and fool the audience. It was actually by an actor.
Right.
So that was our partner. Weta was actually the first studio. No, I rephrase that. Was actually the second studio where I had the honor of and the trust to do animation supervision, and that was actually the last place I would have imagined I could do it. But the level is so high here. And it was a really great testimony to the trust that they have in my skills. So it was a great surprise, especially on a show like this one, this big one.
Yeah, the Apes.
Yeah, that's probably the most challenging show I've ever worked on, and having a chance to influence that in any way, being an animation supervisor, was quite an honor.
I mean, before I ask you, or before we ask you how exactly you got to Weta and how your journey into animation, because you came all the way from Congo. Before I ask you that, I'm just going to chip in quickly here. What did you do on the Black Panther? What exactly did you do? Yeah, because you've worked on the Paddington, the Guardian of the Galaxy. You just finished the Avengers.
Yeah.
And I mean, Gravity. I mean, these are blockbusters. So tell us what you did with Black Panthers.
Come on, guys. Black Panther had enough black people already. They didn't need
Okay.
So they sidelined you.
No, Weta wasn't part of Black Panther.
Right.
Weta wasn't part of Black Panther. When they were working on Black Panther, I was already working on Avengers Infinity War.
Right.
Okay.
We weren't part of that.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
You can't possibly work on everything, can you?
I still watched it.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. I mean, it's good to ask him how he got into the.
So I think for me, the first question would be, seeing how much responsibility you have on your hands on a daily basis. First of all, how did you get started, and how did you get to a point where they were able to trust you with effectively multi-million-dollar projects? Because again, these things, I can imagine you're always under a lot of pressure to get things done on time because there's always a lot of deadlines. So how did you get to that point where you were in charge of these things, if that makes any sense?
You have 15 minutes because it's almost 15.
Far away.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, we'd love to hear it.
Okay, so let's go back in Congo then. Yeah, it's as you know, many kids in Africa starts. We don't have that many toys, or we don't. Art is not considered as a big value over there, right? So we were just drawing on paper and stuff. And like I think I mentioned that to you already, I wasn't the most, skilled one. I was just copying what some friends were doing because it was really nice. And I started to get into that. Funny enough, when I saw my first picture of a Spider-Man on I was like 5 or 6. I started drawing based on that. I was just copying that and having all those really muscular guys and stuff. It's good to have a pencil and try to do something. So that's how I started to get into art, so to speak. But when I was in France, like probably most of you guys, in London or in France, when I got there, it wasn't about art. It was about getting a job as a doctor or as an economist, which was my case. I went there to study international trade. That was the area I was studying. So that's what I did till I got 22-ish. And when I was 22, the war in Africa started. And my father was a politician. Yeah.
Sorry. All right.
Yeah.
I think the audio is kind of cutting off a little bit from your end.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me better here if I move forward a little? Yeah,
that's fine.
So I was saying that's much better. Yeah.
Should I move it forward?
Yeah, thanks a lot.
That's all right.
My father was a politician, and so I was doing that to be able to work with him, Right. And the war started, and when that happened, it triggered a lot of questions in my own head. It was like, am I sure this is what I want to do for the rest of my life? He said, because let's face it, let's be honest, when you are in that kind of business, you have to lie, you have to, there are a lot of stuff that comes with the job.
Yes.
I wasn't sure I could do that for a long term, and it was a massive learning point. So I had to ask myself, what can I do that I do peacefully?
Right.
And that was hard. I was drawing pretty bad stuff, but I knew that. So I took a comic book, a Marvel comic book, and on the back of it they have numbers.
Yeah.
Right.
company and stuff. And I took that and called with my little
No way.
with my
No way.
at the time. I just run them and I went like, I would like to draw a comic book for you. And they were like, but do you do that? Where did you study and stuff? And I said, oh, I didn't study it. I've got really good. I'm a fan of what you do, and I want to be part of it. And they are the ones that told me about a school in France
Right.
I could attend, and that usually they take people out of schools with skills and stuff, and go to the proper channel. And I went to that school. And I had the conviction that I would be doing comic book stuff.
Wow.
That's what I thought I would be doing. When I got to the school and we had those classes about the, steel frame drawing, I found it so boring, you have no idea. And it was scary because I was like, gee, I left the economic trade for this. It's costing a lot of money that I don't have. Yeah. And I'm wasting my time here because this is not working for me. So after 6 months, I was pretty desperate. They also had an animation class that I had. Yeah. Animation was like 24 drawings in 1 second. I forgot time for drawing. It was like, what? I have a hard time doing one. Why would you do that? It was like a punishment. But I went to that, and because my grades were pretty bad, I had to do something to raise it, and I took a chance to animation. And I had an exercise to do for the next day that I didn't touch. And it was midnight. I said, okay, I will try and do my best on it. I just took a piece of paper. It was really rough. It was just a shape, and I was turning the page. And so went to bed about 2:30. I showed that to the teachers the next day. Professor the next days, and they went like, because we were 80 in the class, so they were reviewing everything. And when they come to that piece, they went like, who did that? And I set my hand because I didn't know that I did something good, I had no clue about animation. And I said I did, and they were like, how did you do it? And, oh, this is so good. You see, it's not perfect. I didn't do it on purpose, but they liked the fact that the drawing weren't perfect. And because they saw the motion, they saw the flow of the motion, and not the because everybody was doing really nice shapes and stuff, but the flow of the animation wasn't good, and I was totally doing the opposite. And they were like, "This is what animation is. This is," and it changed in my head because of a grade, basically.
Right.
Where I went like, "Oh, actually, animation is pretty easy." So
just draw shapes.
Yeah, and it's only after that I met few friends that knew Disney. I didn't even know Disney, when I was 22, I didn't know Disney. So they told me about all those guys, Glenn Keane, Andreas Deja, all those big famous names in animation, and I started studying them. I started doing that and do the animation, and that's basically how it started. And when I got to the end of my school, my school term, the 4 years,
right.
I made a little short film with an African story. A guy in a village losing his village, and everybody left. He stayed behind with just the 3 seeds that he wanted to plant there. He stayed there and planted those seeds, and a big tree comes out of the ground and covers him. It was as simple as that. Right. And I pushed that to a contest that called the ANSI Festival.
Right. Yes.
Festival animation. Exactly.
Yeah.
In the world, it's pretty famous worldwide, and I sent that there. just like that. And I got an award there, the third one, a broadcast channel bought my story, and it started like that. All of a sudden, I was a director for TV shows, and I was even telling them, no. I just did that, as part of my diploma. I don't know anything about directing, but they forced me to do it. They were like, no, we like your vision, we like your colors, so please do it with us. And I found a studio that wanted to do it, and that studio had other shows that they were trying to put together. And all of a sudden, I went from that to create character for all of those other shows, and being an artistic director, and being a director. And I spent 6 years of my life directing TV shows. It was just like that, So there were, because I had no point of reference,
Right.
I managed to apparently. So I had no point of reference, so I just study hard everything that I found about animation, and people enjoyed it. So it just started like that. But after 6 years of doing TV shows, I got tired because I really wanted to animate. My goal was to be an animator, not to be a director. So I took a little bit of the funds that I had, I pushed that to Animation Mentor, and tried to go from 2D animation to 3D animation, because 2D animation was sort of dying at the time, and all the studios were closing and stuff. So it was in 2010. I did that for 18 months. And, usually you start as a junior and all those things.
Yes.
And ReelFX plays. I don't know if you know ReelFX, but they do all the Warner Brothers Looney Tunes and all that.
Yes.
So what happened that I was applying there to be an intern. But I was stressed because I had my wife and my one kid already, and I left directing that was paying good money to do animation, and I had to make it work, So, but I applied there to be an intern, and I was really trying hard to make a really nice email, and it took me 2 days to write an email that was. But again, with English, I wasn't that good, so I was really trying hard to make it work. And the day before, or even the day I was going to send the email, I received an email from them. And we like your work, and we're offering you a job, not as a junior animator, but as an animator, because we think you can. I've never been a junior animator, basically. And,
so you started from the top, basically.
Really stressful, because it's not about just animating. You have to be technical as well. You have to have friends. You have to. They didn't know anything. It was my 2D knowledge that I was putting into 3D and trying to find my way around.
Right.
But they bought it like that. And what it taught me is that I wasn't sure that I liked feature animation, because it's a lot of rest. So when somebody moves, you have to go in a curve and stuff like that. And I didn't really like that. So my animation was a little more of a realistic style. So I left the ReelFX and went to Illumination myself, but Despicable Me and all those things. Yeah. So they hired me as well, and it was a big victory for me. I was like, that I made a big place and stuff. And I did the Laurel there, and for 3 months it was. Because everybody was like, oh, your animation is not curvy enough, and so on. And I was like, Chief, I hate those things. It doesn't look like that. And it was another level of and stressful thing, because I didn't know what to do if that was happening. And that's where I went for at ANSI Festival again. And they offered me a job, but we were in need of animators for Gravity.
Right.
So went there, and I knew that it wouldn't be long because I was supposed to be there only for 3 months.
Right.
But one of their senior guys left, and they had a hard time finding anybody else picking up his shots. I picked them up and completed them in 3 days. They were like, "Oh, okay, can you take this one as well, and this one, and this one, and this one." And this one. Stayed there for 4 years.
Oh wow!
So it's not like it was a plan. You know what I mean? It's not like it was. It just happened to be. I liked what I was doing because I had a family and I was trying to do as good as I could. It's painful in a way because you spend a lot of time at work, and I couldn't make it if I wasn't there from 7 in the morning to 10 in the evening. You know, it wouldn't be possible because I have to prove that I could. Hard. So always trying to see a straight guy in the company and talking to him, trying to understand what he was good. And I learned about everything just like that. I'm huge in communication with your peers, you know, just trying to understand how they do things that you develop. And so that's how I ended up showing for that I could not only sculpt, because I do sculpture as well.
That's correct.
Paint and draw. And when I got to Panther, I realized that a lot of the artists don't do all of that. And to them, it was big value. To me, it was just like But to them, it was like, wow, somebody that can do all of this. So when a project came to them, that required somebody to be able to do all of that they didn't have. They came to me, I was just a senior animator at the time, and they said, Sidney, we have that weird little character that the studio wants us to develop, and we don't know exactly where to go, so put something together and we'll see from there. And that was Rocket Record. And from Guardian of the Galaxy. And,
yes.
Yeah, and I took that thing, start drawing on it, make the CD version of it, and trying to put some light on the character before they even cast Bradley Cooper. No, so it was like...
Sidney, sorry, the audio is still cutting out quite a lot. The audio is still really bad from our end.
I think it's
yeah.
That's a shame. You're missing everything I'm saying, basically.
Not everything. Just some bits.
It's dipping. Yeah. It looks like it's going down.
Oh, it can't go any further. Okay, don't move. I'll come forward slightly.
Right.
I think it's the internet.
Is it better?
It is. It's just obviously as you keep on talking, like sometimes we just lose some of the audio, but it's not major.
Bad.
Yeah. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Yeah.
Is it happening now?
Yep.
It doesn't have to do with your volume, though. I don't think.
If I'm not just too loud.
Maybe a little bit.
No, that's should be okay.
I think it's
give me
quality.
a second.
It could be the internet. It could be.
Maybe your internet actually. But maybe
I'm wondering if the sound is better.
Yeah, it sounds better now.
It's better now.
The sound is better?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe. Yeah. I will just lower the volume slightly here to help. Is it good now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I lost track of what I was saying.
I think you were talking about Groot, I think.
Rocket Raccoon, yeah. So that's I ended up developing that character, and the studio liked the direction we were going into, and they asked for me to keep track of that character, and that's how I ended up having my first supervising job.
Right.
On Guardian, and I was just a sequence supervisor. But then I got nominated for the Annie Awards based on the work I did for Rocket Raccoon. I didn't even know what the Annie Award was, but it's that place where would you say that? It's an award for best animation.
You're recognized.
Recognized. You get recognized by your peers. So I got nominated for that. And one of the competition I went against, I was like, that's great. How are we gonna get everybody? And I stumbled upon something called Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, right? Which was done by Weta and which had a character named Clover.
Yeah.
I went in the theater and I watched that guy, and that's the goal, right? You're just trying to find the place where you feel like you're gonna keep on growing, you're gonna keep on learning, and maybe that comes from the fact that I didn't have any of that being younger. And that I just started. I just have 7 years experience basically at this point, right? I feel like I still need to learn a lot. So I was so impressed with that Weta got my attention basically. So I did Paddington at Frame Store, and when I came back from vacation, I went to ILM to do Age of Ultron. Right. It was hard to leave Frame Store because it felt like home there. But I went to ILM and then I got in touch with Weta, and they were quite excited as well. So I was given a class. I was given a class in France when I got that email from Ivy. Ivy is the lady that is in charge of the recruitment. And I got an email from her, and I couldn't speak for like 30 minutes because I was so excited. I was like, Weta is actually looking at me. That's great. So I told my wife, and we discussed about the fact that it would be possible that we have to leave London and stuff.
13 hours ahead. Living London to 13 hours ahead in New Zealand.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a little scary, but I told her I'm gonna go first. I have a 6 months contract or something, so I'm just gonna go and see what they do, and we'll see from there. But when I got here, it looks like home. It's not a big city. Not a big city. It looks just like Brazzaville in Congo if we were putting the money in the right place, right? If our politicians were working the right way, it just looked like that. And I was like, wow. So I told my wife, okay, I can come back, but you just need to come here and take a look.
See. Right.
Take a look. And she came, and from there, it has been 3 years now that we are here. So, and I came here as a senior animator, and from that point, they liked the work, and they asked me if I wanted to be part of the supervision team on Planet of the Apes. And I was like, oh, come on, guys. This is just too much too early. I don't know if I can do that. I was really impressed with Weta. It's as you know, guys, it's a pretty amazing place. These guys did Avatar and Kong.
Yeah, that's true.
I remember Kong. I was constantly doing this. Doing that. I was like, how did they come with that? How did they do that? So it was an impressive. It was a really humbling to me to be part of the company and having a chance to direct, not direct. What am I saying? You see, I'm getting ahead of myself. on such a massive franchise. So I got into it and just to try to give it my best. And we got nominated for another Oscar, which was great. And consolidate the trust of Weta here, which led them to ask me to do that again on Avengers Infinity War. So here we are.
Whoa. Right. So it's really working on Avenger, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, from what you've said so far, what comes to mind is the fact that the quality of your work spoke for you. You didn't really have to go out to chase things, if that makes any sense. You didn't really have to go out to chase roles.
Work.
Yeah.
It all starts. It just all starts there. I would say that pretty consistently. We don't have the same cultural luggage that people in the Western world have. And just because of that, we come with a different set of colors.
Yeah.
Different approach to the story. A different approach to the motion, the way we are making a character move. All the little sound that we do when we go like, brother.
Yeah.
It's got its time.
It's just the way we, and they don't have anything that does that. You see what I mean? So because you come as an enrichment.
Right.
To skill set that they already have. So you pick a little bit from them, and they pick from what you can give. So it's a nice exchange. I'm growing, being in touch with the Western world, basically. And what it taught me is what we were discussing. The reason why I came in touch with you is we can do this now. I got the knowledge to do this now here, but there is no way I can do that in my place yet.
That's true. That's correct.
All the talents to do that, they just lack the tools and the proper, knowledge, the proper thinking to get into doing that the right way. My dream is to someday have a studio over there where big places like Weta come and say, we have these 20 shots to deliver. We send that to this company over there. They will put that together, send it back to us, and we send to the client,
Absolutely.
Because we would have the skill set there. Instead of having everybody moving from Africa to come here, let's try to make that happen over there.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Thanks, Sidney. It's been an incredible journey, you see. But like Damola said, your works has always been speaking for you. So next time I'm going into the studio, seeing Avengers, I'm gonna be looking forward to what you did. Yeah. Sidney, we one of the questions we thought we were going to ask exactly is in a few words though, like what do you do as an animation supervisor? Or what does an animation supervisor? What does he do?
So you're in charge of the motion, the believability of emotion. You are in charge of convince the audience that what they see could be real. That's what the animation supervisor does. It's convince you that what you see could be close to you, next to you. That's part of our job, to make you believe that the motion is so realistic, the way it's happening, that you buy into it. You don't question the fact that it's fake.
Right.
Ultimately, it doesn't exist, right? None of it exists.
Yeah.
Just have to convince you that when you see Caesar walking, when you see Caesar talking, when you see Caesar thinking, because his eyes are focused here, and all of a sudden he has a doubt, and it goes like, and comes back. That we have to sell to you, that we have to make that believable enough for you to buy into it. So that's our job. That's what we do.
Okay. So to achieve this, what kind of software do you use?
What kind of skill set really do you need?
Yeah.
I've never worked in any studio that doesn't use Maya.
Okay.
All right.
We are all in Maya.
I mean, if you we thought maybe you had some like different software. Which
is there any in-house software that you?
No, not for animation. Not for animation.
I thought Weta was going to have some mad software that they keep secret. Like, no.
That's the thing. And believe me, I was part of it. It was like thinking that to make the kind of stuff these guys do, they must have some tricky thing. There's none. It's just because of the way they dealt with Koba facial. I was like, I'm sure they have tools that allow you to catch exactly how the cheek is going up, how the brows are going. No, it's all by hand. All they do differently than anybody else is that they spend a little more time checking the specific expression on the face. So I have to, since I got here, I had to learn what are the muscles that are here, what are the muscles that are here, what are the muscles that are here, and when I'm sad, what interaction goes on between this section, and this section. What happened?
Right.
Because by default, it's right? No, it's not. There is plenty of way to see that, and that's what you learn.
Right.
And yeah, so the tools, the software we use doesn't really matter. I know Disney has a sort of Maya, customized Maya. I know DreamWorks developed their own software.
Right. Yes.
The Pixar is closer to a Maya as well. ILM is full on Maya. Weta is full on Maya. And I gave just to give you the 4 top studio in the world. And they're all using Maya. But don't get fooled by that. It's you can give the tool to 1,000 million people. You will get the right result out of 10, 15, 20.
Right. Okay.
Because it's not about the tool. It's about the skills, the way you use it.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. It's just Maya. Okay. All right. It's interesting to know.
I thought Max Studio is still one of the two, but now.
But I guess you heard, right? Max may be going to the end.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I've heard that.
Oh, I haven't.
I have.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's not our discussion. Yeah. Would you like to have some? Do you have some technical questions?
Yeah, actually, I do have a bit of a technical question. Although I'm not an animator, I'm mostly into sort of like environment, art, work, and things of that nature. But in terms of motion capture, how much work do you have to do after the motion has been captured, if that makes any sense?
Yeah. It's some people take motion capture and keep it as is.
Right.
And if you go and check Ready Player One, for instance, the letter spoon, you will see all raw motion capture.
Right.
That's just a personal. I don't like motion capture for what it gives you raw.
Right.
Because motion capture has one huge plot, one really bad thing to me, is that it cancels the weight.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
So you will see motion capture guys walking like this. If the guy is 100 kilos, he's going to walk like this. And if he's 5 tons, he's going to walk like this. So the weight of the elbow that makes you go when you walk, that is canceled in motion capture. So when we get motion capture, I always have a pass of editing. And there is actually, Weta has a group of people that does that. And it's called motion editing. And they get rid of all those little imperfections here and there. And then it comes into animation, the animation department. And in the animation department, we do a little more again. So, for instance, sometimes you have translation on the chest that doesn't exist on a body. You know, it's really rare because it's all rotation mainly, animation-wise, right? The motion is mainly rotation. So we kill the translation and we try to make sure that it's physically accurate. So always had a lot of work in the mocap to get that to the result you believe in.
So would you say?
Yeah.
Sorry, Ariane. I was going to ask. Would you say the technology has sort of made people complacent in terms of like animating for production value, in terms of production?
Say that again.
Would you say motion capture has made certain studios complacent in terms of the way they go about animating characters and things of that nature?
Oh, no. I think it's a very valuable technique. I'm not criticizing motion capture at all. I'm not saying that it's a wrong type of tool I'm mainly saying that if you take that raw, it gives you a type of result that some people like and that I don't personally like. I always feel like there is a level of editing that you could add to it. But in some movies, it works really well. You know, the BFG that we did here as well, most of it was raw capture, you know, with editing, obviously. But, and by the way, when I say raw capture, no studio does like raw capture. Everybody has a level of editing, right? But what I'm saying is that the believability of the weight is sometimes lost when you do mocap on a non-human character. So if you have a normal-sized guy, it may work perfectly. But when you start to have child, big guys and stuff, if the motion capture will work the same, you will have a fake feeling into it from time to time. And that's where animation needs to be involved as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Sidney, you know what we did when we knew that we were going to have this interview? We reached out to the community of CGAfrica.
Yeah.
And we asked them to post in their questions. What would they like to ask you? And we've got about 5 or 6 that we've compiled.
Sure.
And I'm just going to ask them directly from Instagram, from Facebook, and YouTube. I think YouTube, and there's one from LinkedIn. A couple of them have come from Instagram. And the first one, which you have answered, but I'm just going to ask directly how it's recorded. How long have you been on this job? And how does working at Weta Digital feels? And this is from one of our Instagram users at Femi Arts.
Okay. How long have I been doing this job? You mean supervising animation?
Well, animation generally.
Yeah. How long have you been? Yeah. How long? Yeah.
CG animation I've been doing. I started mid 2011, so 7 years-ish. No? 7 years.
Okay.
And what was the second part?
Working.
How does working at digital feels? Weta. How does working at Weta Digital feels?
Well, I'm still here. So.
Yeah, you said that with a smile, though. Yeah, a big smile. Yeah.
No, it's. I'm trying to find the best way to describe it. You have places where you're just a consider push button, where you are asked to do this and that, and that's it. Weta does what we were talking about, which is taking consideration of what you are and what you can bring to the table and make it part of a conversation. Guys, we have a meeting with Terry. If you don't know who the guy is, go and check it out. Okay?
What did you say he was?
Joe Leteri. Yeah. We have meeting with him discussing artistic stuff. And this guy is like, he's just the boss here. And having a chance to sit at his table and with him on those conference table, and we are not talking money. We are not talking, we are not talking next client and stuff. We are just discussing art.
Yeah,
that's something that makes you grow by the meeting.
Right.
I remember once on Apes. I was here for like a year and a half, and I went to that meeting where we were discussing not Caesar face, but Winter, the white gorilla.
Yeah.
And we were checking the face. We all have a level of knowledge, right? And I saw the reference we were comparing our character against. And I was like, that's pretty close. That's pretty great. And he starts talking about all those little tiny differences that were there. And every time I was like, oh, yeah, he's that. Oh, he's that. and then you get scared because this guy is reviewing your work. And you go like, just, I can't sleep. You can't feel like, yeah, I know it. Oh, I get it. No. Because we are not in a place where we are discussing only, the boss of the company is taking the time to discuss with you artist to artist, which is massively valuable. Because it's not even like, he's always right. It's we have an artistic communication. So the end result goes just like that. See what I mean? So the clients may want this, and we reach that point already. But because you discuss with each other, you're going slightly beyond what the client wants. And that's something I love doing here. It's just that you have an opportunity to keep on growing,
Right.
So as long as that happens, I'll be here.
You've been Weta Digital. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. All right.
Okay. The next person asked, Pencil Mark asks, what are your plans for animation in Africa?
Right, that's a big question, isn't it? What are your plans for animation in Africa? That's at Pencil
Mark. Yeah.
The first thing would be to understand why it's not working. So in Congo, I know why, because we have no sustainable energy. Right? If I bring computer there, they're gonna die in like 10 days. Snapping on and off all the time. So that's to me is one of the problems. And the second is that we just need to start. I wouldn't say that we have a problem. I would say that we didn't start it. We didn't start yet. We need to generate the interest. one thing that this part of the world got that we didn't get to me is that they understand the value of art as a tool that tells your story.
Yeah.
We have no clue of that in our places. In my place, we don't. In Congo, we don't. You know, we don't have a piece of art that is telling where we come from and where we're going.
Right.
We don't have that. We don't tell our own story. We don't have a book that put together our legends. Don't have any of that.
That's
So
true.
that's because we think being economists, being doctors, being this and that is enough. But that's what our kids need to be. We need to go there and study that. When he comes back, what was his grandfather? How were we, getting our fish off the water? All those little stuff. And we still see that as being archaic, or old way or uncivilized way of living. Come on, it's part of our story. That's what got us to where we are. So if we can start telling that and showing the interest into telling that, we're gonna generate a Black Panther movie at least every year. In terms of, we are not showing Africa. There is that song that I think it's Yemi Alade and Sochi Soul's song about Africa, and you see the images. One can go and say, "Oh, those poor guys, they look so sad, they look so poor," and the other can go like, "Geez, this is paradise."
It is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember going back, and it has been raining in one of the neighborhood, and the kids, you had a lot of mud everywhere,
Right.
and the kids came out of a house and were playing in that mud water. And you see that, and I've been in Europe for so long, I'm like, this is not right, this is not. But they were happy.
Yes,
That's the end point. Yeah.
Exactly. And there is a way of looking at us. And that's something we need to learn how to do. We need to stop being proud of where we come from and what we are. And it's not about telling people, that we are the best, and so on. No, that's what we are. That's it. It's as simple as that.
That's
and
just
telling
it,
people with that. And it's something that we don't have in Africa yet. It's not, like I said, some artists are starting to build something like that, right? And maybe we just need to get that into animation. Building, checking our legend, our stories, and making that happen, putting that together to tell a story.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's what we are missing. It's the interest in our own legend and our culture.
Okay. So I think, sorry, Damal, I think you've answered another of the questions. I think because the question Pencil Mark was asking is, what are your plans?
My plans would be first to know that I can't plan anything on my own. First, so asking me what's my plan would be asking you guys what's your plan, right?
Yeah.
I don't believe in a one-man army thingy.
Yeah, that's true.
I
Yes.
believe in that, collaboration process. So,
Yes.
how can we start something there? Like I said, maybe the easiest thing to start is a conference. Putting something together just
Absolutely.
to
Yeah.
present what we
Information.
can
Yeah.
and what kind of knowledge we got now. And if you want that to happen, let's make that happen.
Right.
So I would say what we need to do is come together, try to think how we can organize that kind of things, find the best place to do it, and do it. You know, and just that way, try to generate interest around the VFX word, and then see from there. You know, it's going to be a one step at a time thing. I wouldn't say that I thought of everything, but if the guy who asked the question has some ideas, he can share.
Right. Okay. All right. That's true. That's the next one.
Okay, this next question is from 3D Scene TV at 3D Scene TV, and it is: in the current pipeline, how many other applications that are not Maya or Nuke are allowed in-house?
I think you can come.
I don't think Weta has any kind of discrimination in terms of the software. whatever work, I would say. Like I said, I don't know a lot about other software, but I know that Houdini is in here. I know that. Sign-ups, FX, whatever. I get it. There's so many of them. You know, we scoped with what's the name of the thing? I forgot the name of the scoping tool. That Maya invented.
ZBrush?
ZBrush.
ZBrush, okay.
That's an inside tool that became a worldwide tool. Because everybody uses ZBrush. So I don't think.
We can build our own, renderer and our hair software.
Go on, Vanessa. Go on, Vanessa.
Vanessa is just to confirm it. It's so many different tools that we can have. But like I said, at the end of the day, what the audience sees is the wind blowing a tree. How realistic does it look? What they see is a man lifting his arm. How realistic does it look like? You know, so it's about how realistic you make something look, more than the tool that you're using. If the tool can take you that far, that's good enough.
Okay, right. I mean, because we promised these guys that we're going to ask these questions. So I'm going to read the next ones verbatim. This is from at Negusazana. At Negusazana. So what type of all right? So what type of software skills do I need in the industry? Python, C++, Java programming for graphics?
Oh boy. I didn't know any of that. I still don't know it. I would, it's, if you are into arts, what part of it do you like? Do you like putting, like you said, do you like building stuff, or do you like getting stuff that have been built, get into motion, or do you like to put some lighting on them, or do you like to do the render of those things? That's mainly the categories where you need to fit in, you know. And obviously, you have some programming people that are usually the TDs. Those are the technical directors that we need on every show in every department to debug and understand how the tools, putting the tools together. You have some people that needs that knowledge as well, but artistically.
Yeah, it depends what area you're
Exactly.
interested in.
It really depends on the area you're interested in.
And reaction. Okay. This next question, you've answered it, but I'm going to read out the name. It says, this is from Michael Owusu, and this is from he's from YouTube. It says, what do you think are the problems hindering the animation industry in Africa, and what solutions would you prescribe? That's his question. And I'm sure you've answered that. So, but that's from Michael Owusu from YouTube.
Yeah.
And
it would just be that. It would say, we have a few guys having the knowledge. Let's try to bring them back home, sharing that knowledge, and getting a student to start to, develop the skills in the right direction. So I'm here. All I ask, bring me home, get me into a classroom. I tell everything I know, and take the artistic spirit of every guys in that room as well. We work, we share the knowledge, we share the passion, and from there, that's how it's gonna happen. It's the only way around it. We need to find ways to bring people together, share the knowledge, and go back.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks.
The next question is from Adamu Waziri from LinkedIn, and he's asking, considering the fact that the African market does not support large budgets for VFX animation production, do you see any technologies or ways of working to help studios produce good quality content that can compete with Hollywood and Bollywood?
But the thing to me is compete. Compete is already the wrong way of looking at things. What is the originality of the story you're trying to tell? That's what is going to get you far. The technique, again, we can provide the technique. That's not the issue. What we are lacking is the story.
Right.
We need to be able to tell our stories. We need to be able to tell our legends. We need to be able to tell about where we come from and where we are trying to go. And that will be the source materials that will get us far. Technically, everybody can be able to help to achieve a really nice level, of results. So don't consider the technique, consider the source material, consider the story.
Okay. Right. I think the next question, I'll kind of give a little premise before I ask it. One thing about sort of like digital art is, in terms of going to schools to study, it could get quite expensive, especially if you have other responsibilities, as you well know yourself. Which is the question, what is your opinion on digital web-based schools and online classes, and would you recommend it?
That's a good one. I did one.
Right.
I did one, and true, it was expensive. Right. But let's put one together. And truth is, I would recommend it, definitely.
Right.
Depends which one it is, because there are a lot of people that say they can do, but they can't. There are few, really few, only, I don't know, I wouldn't say more than 5 that I could personally recommend in terms of animation.
Right.
Would be the maximum to me. And they are all US based. So,
okay.
The thing is, it's expensive and it doesn't pay to do those jobs in Africa.
Yeah.
That's the problem you have at the moment. So you will spend $20,000 to attend a school, and when you come out of that school, you find a job, and that job is paying you 300,000 African something a month, which is nothing.
Nothing compared to how much you spend.
You see what I mean? So how do we get these jobs to have values in our places? That's the question, because I'm not going back to teach people to do these jobs and not be able to live out of it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So how do we get there? I don't know. And it's a good source materials of reflection. How do we get there? How does the music industry make that happen? How did it?
Yeah.
They have their,
because they made that leap.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
So those are all questions I don't have any answer to. So you can attend them if you can get out of your country to be able to work outside and to make a living out of it. If you can't, it's really hard to pay that amount of money and not be able to live properly out of it, you know?
Right. So I've just got something off the top of my head now. I know I'm sort of reading off script now. In terms of
That's fine.
in terms of digital schools, obviously we understand that it can get quite expensive, which leads me to YouTube, because there seems to be a million tutorials out there on how to use ZBrush and how to animate on Maya, Cinema 4D, whatever it is. How do you navigate who's giving the right information and who's sort of just making it up as they go?
Check the background.
Right.
Check the background. If anybody is in a major studio and is a senior or lead or a supervisor, go there.
Right.
I remember when I started the school, a guy, I won't name it, of course, but a guy, we started the school and animation, it was Animation Mentor. That was the name of the online school. And it was so great for us to be there, right? Because all the instructors there were from Pixar, Disney, and some from Weta Digital. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we saw that. I remember seeing the show reel of my instructor, and I saw some stuff from Avatar. I was like, "Oh my God, this made this guy work on Avatar. I'm gonna teach me." And so you feel like you got somewhere where you're gonna learn from the best, right?
Right.
And that student with me from the get-go started to put tutorials on internet of how to animate this and that. I was like, come on, dude, what are you doing? We just started, and it was already teaching people on YouTube. It's just like, okay, well, do whatever helps you, but yeah, check the background. You have a fantastic tool that is named LinkedIn. People can't lie on it. You see a name of an instructor, go there and check.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Check the background. Okay.
Yeah.
Check the background.
Right. And the last question is actually from myself. How important are traditional skills to a digital artist?
I couldn't do what I do without knowing that. And there is actually a specific thing for me here, and that's what I said about creative freedom. When I get into a room to review the work from animators, they give me a Wacom tablet, and I correct the pose of my animator drawing on screen. And I can only do that because I can do it. It's a 2D background, you have that. It's so valuable. You have no idea. For instance, when it comes to colors, the shadow. Some people will take a banana and put a brown shadow at the base of the table, on the table. If you put a banana on the table, you put some light there. The shadow that is there, they're gonna make a brown shadow. Who does that? And that's because it's sort of how it appears to be when you have that. But actually, if you understand colors, you know that shadow should be purple.
Yes.
And that's something I know because I have that 2D background.
Right. Okay.
This is part of what makes you great at understanding how to create depth in a picture.
Right. Okay. You still have another one, Donna? I've got one. This is for everyone, because now, everyone, I'm sure, will want to work for Weta right now in Africa. And I'm sure, everyone is going to be asking, like, what would you like to see in my portfolio for me to be able to come and work for Weta? Obviously, simple as that. What would you like to see? That's a tricky one.
No, it's not a tricky one. The tricky one is that you first have to understand that even people that have 10 years experience that are trying to get it don't.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not a matter of trying to impress people.
Right.
It's really not about trying to impress people. Don't do that. Just don't do that. What you need to do is follow a reference as closely as you can. Show that you have the eye, that you understand. For instance, just that little shifting on the body that you did, understanding where the weight goes. How that little motion is affecting your hips, how that is affecting your weight, how your head is dragging slightly because it's lighter than this part of your body. That kind of stuff. If you can show me that, Pixar hire people on a 10 seconds base, time to time. They play, they check and they go like, okay, that guy knows his stuff, get him in here. And some others, you go to the end because you're unsure. It's like, this shot was really good, but this one is, no, I'm not sure what this guy can give me. So show your personality. Show that you understand what you're applying for. And that's what gets you in a place, Obviously, some places have different, expectation. Weta is a really technical place, We are not a feature animation studio. So if you send me something about, I don't know, characters that are not realistic at all in the way they move, you won't get in here. Because it's not that what you're sending is not good. It's just that you're applying to the wrong place. Because you see what I mean? At the same time, if you send me something that is mainly mocap, we may not get you as well because we don't see beyond the mocap what you can create on your own. So that's the thing. Don't consider the distance or an issue, because like we said, I come from Congo. Just to try to show that you understand the motion, that you understand the color, that you understand the light, that you understand composition. That's what gets you somewhere, wherever it is.
Wherever, makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, we've got to perhaps the interesting part now, the part where you got to show us what you did with Planet, because that's
that is something. Well, you're gonna get next time, because obviously I don't have anything here.
All right. So we're saving the best for last.
Yeah. But what I can tell you is that if you watch the first 14 minutes of the movie, that's mainly what I did.
The first 14, 1-4.
No, 4-0.
4-0.
I'm going to watch it tonight. I'm going to watch that movie tonight.
How long did it take you to do that?
Come again?
How long did it take you to make the 40 minutes?
Oh, it was a year.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Actually, that kind of leads me to another question, if you don't mind. So when you do your thing in terms of like animation, how much work do you do while they are shooting live action, and how much do you do during post production?
That's a good one. We usually use what they did on stage. They shoot first, and then they come. And if they shoot with actors, we will cover the actors with the apes.
Right.
And compositing will make sure that the only thing that you see are the apes, but usually they are the performer that were behind on the plate that you're looking at. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah.
But you don't do it at the same time you're shooting?
No. It's very important for them to be happy with what they shot first. We start. It's way too expensive of a process to do that over and over again. Yet some studio ask you to do that over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
right. Okay. Yeah, I mean There's a lot we can talk about, Sidney, but obviously we have to. We just have to, like you said. I like what you said, which is true. I mean, for us to move further, we just have to establish a forum for everyone to talk, however little your knowledge is, and then share it, your vision, what's hindered you, where you want to go, what you want to be, and hopefully CGAfrica and with your support, we can give back in a sense to this vast community back home. Lots of people are working, they are striving to do stuff, but like you rightly mentioned, there's a lot of challenges facing them. I think the very first place to start is just to create a forum for everyone to talk, to be heard. Yeah.
You put together a very nice piece as CGAfrica, and I would say let's just keep doing that. It's if more question comes in, obviously it won't be part of. It's gonna be more direct between you and I. We won't be doing that again. Like I mentioned, doing that from Weta directly was.
What time is it here? 1:30 in the morning.
One step to the end of it, but yeah, let's try to put something together in terms of teaching, education. Educating our artists not to simply try to duplicate what they see out there, but from their own culture, what they put together. There's nothing more annoying than seeing an African Dragon Ball Z.
Yes.
That's tired. The Japanese have been able to do their thing. If the Europeans have been able to do their thing, if New Zealand have been able to do Lord of the Rings, nobody did that before them. They even came with their own style of stuff, and that becomes Weta. Weta started like you guys. It was a tiny thing, It's not like all of a sudden that thing is big, We just don't know how to put those things together, and that's the time that they took that we didn't take yet. Thinking how we can make stuff happen, how we can get our people to be interested in their own story, and try to share it,
Yeah, thank you.
Which is quite sad, because as Africans, we are so rich in culture. Like there's so many legends and myths. Like there's so many stories that can come out. We have so many locations as well.
Yeah, locations.
Yeah. So it is really sad that
let's see how we can take all of that, compile it, and build on top of it. We have a way to tell the stories. We're lacking the tools. We can provide the tools. Yeah, that's something we can do. That's something I can do in terms of sharing the skills to do it. But the way we come with the stories, the story we come up with, that's something we have to put together.
Right. That's fine. Yeah. Thanks, Sidney.
So much for this. And like I said, I will use the commercial parts and put to the marketing elements, and show you how we put together some scenes, how we go from animation, creature to render, to lighting and render, and send it to you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for your time, Sidney. And
absolutely.
We've enjoyed it. And a big thank you also to Vanessa.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Work hard on this one. Yeah, we do appreciate it. Yeah. Thanks for your time. So we'll let you know once we what becomes of this, basically.
Okay, no worries. We'll do that.
I appreciate it. Have a nice morning.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice night, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right. So, this little moment to talk a little bit about the approach that we took to into the making of War for the Planet of the Apes. The specific way I approach the movie and putting together the motion in the most realistic way possible. So the first thing I wanted to say is that the whole idea behind animation and visual effects in live action movies is to get the audience to believe that what they see could actually be real, especially in a movie like Apes. And in order to do that, I cannot just go inside my own head and say, oh, a gorilla moves like this, or a chimpanzee moves like that, or the apes are supposed to do this or that. You go to the zoo, you look at them living, you look at them interacting, you check Natural Geographics, and once you feel like you have a pretty decent understanding, because we are not scientists, okay, we are not trying to, in some shows you have to go really far, but not on all of them. But what we are mainly after is just a good understanding of how their mechanic works. So, because that's what you have to do when you try to get people to believe that what they see can be real. You have to study the mechanic of the structure you are putting in motion, whether it's a vehicle or a mammals or whatever, an insect, whatever it is. You have to study it and get as close to mimicking what they are and what they do as possible. So in the case of the gorilla, that's the first thing I did. I just wanted to go and see if I could duplicate, reproduce the way they walk, the way they move, and how that big part of the body affected the chest, and how those legs affected the hips, and how all of that comes together, and what it does to the head, and so on. So, like I said, grabbing reference and trying to match reference. So even just taking the time to find the right reference is not always an easy ride, all right? But you have to take the time as part of your job. And once I got that, I just put that in my scene. Let me just look this. I just put that in my scene, and from there I try to animate to make it look like the gorilla that I have is believable, without any render and anything. And it's all keyframe, because, mocap doesn't work always well when it comes to that type of motion. And once I'm happy with that, when I was happy with that, I took the time to understand what was happening in my reference. I have to understand as well that the proportion of the real gorilla and the gorilla I have for the movie are not the same. So it's never about copying, matching exactly what your reference is doing, but getting the essence, the timing, the spacing. Those are really important element when you are putting together a work cycle for your character. And so when I was happy with what I had on the gorilla and present that to the client, I went ahead and did the same on Caesar. And the idea here was to show that Caesar is not that young anymore. He's a little older. And if he were, for any reason, didn't happen in a movie that often. But if he were to walk on his four again, that's how he would have been. Just again trying to understand how an old chimpanzee would be moving, and if he's the father, if he is the authority figure, how he would be looking at the other. And that's pretty much what I was trying to put together here. So you see how when he passes, how he's looking at us, pretty much like you have to you have to make a way for him, which is something I simulate slightly with the position of the camera, giving him the upper hand, just to to force that impression that the guy is bigger than us. So that's a big part of my workflow, the way I approach things every time I start a movie, whatever it is. I just need to know my characters. I just need to understand how they would be moving if they were real. And once and you can see, right? It's not anything close to being final. The hands are not interacting with the ground in the best way, but it's just telling the overall story of the guy. We call that detailing, and that's something that you can do afterward, but don't let it distract you. Trying to have something really polished and everything is not what is going to get you to believe that it's real. The timing is mainly and catching the right spacing is mainly what gets the audience to believe that what they see is believable. So once I was happy with Caesar, it was the perfect time, to get into spreading that across the show and saying, yeah, if we want to have a quadrupedal walk for a gorilla or a chimp, well, we have these ones and we can try to play with them. But I will just jump ahead and go into the movie section. And before playing this one, this is a scene that happens at the very beginning of the movie with the battle on the hill. And the idea was to try to sell the desperation of the chimps. In that battle, the human caught them in the trenches, and they were trying to defend themselves, and they lost a lot of people. And the director wanted to show that desperation. And in order to do that, you put together a type of action that sells it. You create a story in the story. A friend. I think it's gonna be this guy coming behind with his rifle, losing one of his friends, and saying that and exposing himself because he really want to shoot at the humans, and ended up dying as well. And that's just the way. You tell the story inside the story. There's a lot going on. Not everybody will be able to see it because the shot actually goes really fast. But you give a sense to the reason why this shot is in the movie. It's telling you what is going through the mind of the apes. Some trying to escape, some trying to rescue each other, and obviously a lot of them dying because the human attack was pretty bad. And yeah, so that's what you see here. This is what we had in animation. So I make the overall layout of it. I animated most of the guys that you see here, and we had a few of the guys rolling on the ground being mocapped because it's really hard to put together in animation. And so that's part of the process. So this guy was animated by one of the guy at my team, and And yeah, so it's a collaborative process. That's another thing that is really important. It's not like oh, I have this shot and it's mine to do for myself. Especially in VFX, you can have a shot touched by a lot of people. Obviously, it makes it hard to claim as yours, but that's just a part of the business sometimes, especially when you have a massive crowd and you have to divide the shot in different artists, because there's no way you would be able to get that done in 2 months' time if you were alone. And I'm fast, but not that fast. So there are some chimps here and there for which I needed some help, and that's, like I said, it's the nature of the business. So when you have a massive amount of character, of really complex action, you always need to plan with a lot of artists to get that through. Yeah, so this is telling you that story here, and once this is done, we send that to the department we call CRE, and CRE takes the animation submission and adds the fur on them, and prep them for compositing and lighting to pick up and do their magic on it, and same deal for the effects department that will make the interaction between the apes and the ground, all those bullets hitting the branches, all those little sparkles and impact. All that is going to go to the effects department, and they will all put that together to get to a final result that is. Give me 1 second. Just to move away. Yeah, a final result that would be this, which is what you see in the movie. So that's after the lighting department went in, obviously the animation, the CRE, and then the compositing that that integrate everything well together. So that's usually the process that happens on every shot in the movie. The layout department start with it. Obviously, imaging starts by getting us the plate with the right tracking of cameras, and once we have that, animation layout can then put everything together, and animation put that in motion, and then it goes to CRE. Effects start working on it, and lighting picks it up, and compositing does the final render. So, and I'm even summing that up. It's you have a lot more department getting involved sometime on only one shot. Paints can get involved, and simulation can get involved. It's a very interesting process, the building of a shot. Well, I hope you enjoyed that and it was informative for you. And yeah.
Hamba